dear people, big and small, the good news is I made some time to do FayeTv. The bad news is I'm lacking the words. I've mapped that all out, I've drawn that all with a lot of love, but obviously I can't find the right words to speak today. I wanted to talk about love greeting to all mothers, because it was Mother's Day recently and I don't have children and I can't have children, but the only aspect of good motherhood that I know and that I'm good at is storytelling. In my youth, a good friend gave me this book called The Songlines by Bruce Chatwin, and that contained the sentence like when the Aborigines were kept captive, the mothers did what all good mothers do. They tell their children stories. Yeah, no, silence. Why would you keep people captive? It happens all over the world, but stories are a thing that you can't take from people. Except for if they have a disease where they forget everything. But strangely, they remember old stories even when they're demented. Because stories are a part of our identity. The stories that the Aborigine women told to their children was like stuff like why the emu can't fly, or how this and that fish got its skin. So stories, legends explain the origin of the world. Like that's why I tried to draw a world and a little person and a big like ghost spirit god. Everybody has his own god. I once did a dissertation on creation myths. That was really fun. So whatever you think is your creation myth of the world, it shapes your identity. Like the Icelandic sagas cite the giant Ymir who fell into the water and his body formed the continents, and this is very similar to a Babylonian creation myth. So, and I doubt the Vikings and the Babylonians have ever met, but that also kind of means that people have seen the continents as a part of a person. So the world is a person, you have to treat it like a person. You have to learn to communicate it, you have to treat it with respect. And the Christian idea is a little bit different, but still not that different, because if Adam and Eve are made out of clay, they are made out of a piece of continent, soil, dirt. So in this case, God actually actively used the continents to make something out of them, and he told Adam and Eve to be fertile and to multiply, but he also told Adam and Eve to be responsible for the planet, to give a name to each and every animal. So actually you only name your children usually, or you name things which you have just come to understand. Like once we talk about Australian Aborigines, they sang the world into existence. At least that's what it says in the songline book. They didn't believe that the world existed before they sang it. And singing often also has words. In the Western civilizations, you often sing about a person you love really much. You sing about a person you hate really much. Or, yeah, you give your feelings a name. And that's where you don't own them, but you start to communicate with them. And yeah, actually, I used to think my parents wanted to own me by giving me a certain name, but well, we have communicated about that. And communication is very important, and that's why I drew. Storytelling is also quality time. You have to make the time to sit down to tell the story in a way that people of your particular target age and your particular life background would understand. So this is the only mothering that I can do, like observing my nieces, the way they talk, the things which interest them. They want to hear stories and ever stories about Native Americans, and I'm slowly running out of stories from Native Americans. So if anyone has a good one, please, please, please send me a link. I have, however, stories from Siberia, because there is this wonderful, marvelous book called The Flying Tiger. Fingers in the way. The Flying Tiger, about female storytellers in Siberia. Yes, in Siberia there are tigers. As to my experience from the zoo, they can't fly, but of course, obviously, in shaman legends they can. The storyteller women also said partly that when they got married, their shaman powers went out. So yeah, the power goes out, then you can't do your things anymore. So I think that this shaman power is actually a form of concentration. And if you then concentrate on your husband who sits on the sofa and says, "Well, I want a beer, and why didn't you do the dishes?" I think then you don't have much time anymore to practice your magic, to practice your stories, because a well-told story has to be practiced. I've been to a storyteller class, and it took a lot of practice to tell the story time and again. And yeah, then the teacher said, well, could you tell this differently, and could you like put the tone of your voice differently? So it takes a lot of effort to tell a good story, and to also put the points right together so you get why the story is supposed to be funny or sad. And well, in Siberia, obviously, the people tell the stories about flying tigers. And one shaman woman who was interviewed for this book actually also said she had spirit babies with a tiger. She couldn't have physical children, but the tiger children came to visit her often enough. And this woman expected everybody to be able to see her tiger children. But obviously the author of the book didn't see them. Another thing from Siberia that also connects to my mother theme is the cuckoo. Because in Siberia there is this group of languages that is almost extinct, that is called Yenisei languages. And they are a little bit exotic to our ears, because you can stuff one or two sentences in a 7-letter word. And one of these words is obviously kukuk. And this bird called the cuckoo came along, according to the legend, when two siblings never wanted to care about their mother. They didn't cook for her, they didn't go shopping or hunting for her. They like, even when she was very, very ill, they just rather went to the next town or the next village to live only their own lives, to be totally careless. And then when they came back from the village, they didn't find the mother. Neither did they find the body or any remains, but on her bed there was this bird sitting and doing cuckoo, cuckoo. And then the bird flew away. And this bird still sits in the trees and always calls cuckoo, cuckoo, because in one of these Yenisei languages, cuckoo means my son, my daughter. So the bird is still calling for her children who never cared about her. I hope I care enough for my mother, even though I can't show it all the time. I love my mother, and I love when she tells me a story or when I tell her a story, but that also craves that we listen to each other. And one of my favorite memories from childhood was that both parents told me good night stories. My mother always spontaneously made up stories about a clown. And I and my brother, like, we named the clown and we said which pets the clown should have, but my mom always fixed the details, like how the clown would do his clown numbers and how the pets would eat his, like, the paints for the face. And then my dad came in with these rather technical stories because he grew up with bubble cars and he taught me how to love bubble cars. And if you don't know what a bubble car is, I think I'll tell that to you next time. Google it. But let's say the bubble cars are so much fun, I would like to make some time to paint them. So yeah, painting is also a way of telling stories. Probably that's how the cave paintings came along, so that you kind of gave the next man instructions when there was no writing. Yeah, I'll see you in a session about bubble cars. And yeah, take some time to tell a good friend a story. Not only the story of your life, but also maybe a good story that you heard and also why you like that story. Bye bye.